You're usually really cool.
Really, I don't, honestly, that's a real problem.
Take them home.
Who cares?
Okay, take them home.
It's
Take them
weird.
home.
While the Real Housewives franchise is known for its drama, iconic one-liners, and hilarious moments, it also brings incredibly raw moments that often leave viewers in tears. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everywhere in between, every city in the franchise has had its share of tear-inducing moments. These scenes stand out, showing the real vulnerable side of the housewives. Whether it's the pain of a divorce, the heartbreak of losing a loved one, or the struggles within their families, these moments resonate deeply with audiences. When Aiden tells Phaedra, he will always be her baby.
I'm still gonna be your baby.
Oh, you always have me.
In her prime, Phaedra Parks was one of the more likable housewives on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Although she's no longer on the show, fans still love to look back on her best moments with her kids. One memorable scene is when Phaedra drives her son Aiden to his first day of school. They start talking about his big day, and Aiden admits he's scared to be without her. Phaedra, clearly emotional, tries to reassure him. But when Aiden says, "I will always be your baby," Phaedra can't hold back her tears, and neither could viewers. It was such a raw, heartfelt moment that every new parent could relate to. Bethany and Jill's talk at Bobby's funeral.
I couldn't leave. I don't know why. I just couldn't leave. With Bobby's here. He's still here. I know. I don't know what are you going to do now.
Bethany, Frankel, and Jill Zarin were once the best of friends on Real Housewives of New York. Then, like many friendships, theirs fell apart. But when Bobby Zarin passed away after his battle with cancer, Bethany showed up for Jill. With Bravo's cameras rolling, Bethany approached Jill after the service. In a solemn voice, Jill told Bethany that Bobby had always loved her. That moment hit hard. It made us all realize how short life is and how trivial most of our problems are. This emotional Real Housewives moment hit us right in the feels. Karen's self-defense class scene.
This is an organization which empowers victims who have been raped.
On Real Housewives of Potomac, Karen Hugard, known as the Grande Dame, shared that she was a victim of past assault. Before her daughter Raven left for college, Karen took her to a self-defense class. Karen needed to know that Raven could stay safe in a world that doesn't always protect women. Throughout, this typically comedic star showed us her heightened fears as a parent, making this a truly raw, emotional storyline. It was a side of Karen that many fans hadn't seen before, and it resonated deeply. Carole and Dorinda's emotional trip to London.
I mean, you never knew him, but he was very stoic, and he was not going to let.
In season 7 of The Real Housewives of New York, Carole Radziwill had to go back to London to retrieve her late husband's ashes. Dorinda Medley decided to go with Carole because she and her late husband used to live in London. And as a widow herself, Dorinda understood Carole's pain. During these emotional times, fans supported Dorinda and Carole as they grieved and healed together. Seeing their journey unfold on TV was one of the standout moments of that season, when Vicky lost her mom.
What do you mean to me? No,
Vicky Gunval's son has had her fair share of unforgettable episodes, but this one was truly heart-wrenching. During a game night at Cheyenne's house, Vicky received a devastating phone call from her daughter. The news was shocking. Her mother had passed away unexpectedly. The cameras were rolling for Real Housewives of Orange County. When Vicky learned of her mother's sudden death, she walked away from the group to take the call. And when she heard the news, she collapsed to the floor in sheer devastation. How could she die on us? Vicky cried out just as Cheyenne's bed door came into the kitchen to find her friend in shambles. Cheyenne held Vicky as the other ladies rushed in, trying to comfort her. Vicky's raw, unfiltered grief was palpable as she screamed and cried, making it a profoundly emotional scene for both the cast and viewers at home. Watching Vicky fall to her knees in shock was incredibly troubling, and one of the saddest moments in Real Housewives history. This scene, while unfortunately relatable, felt almost too real and raw for a reality TV episode. The death of Taylor's husband.
After I heard about the news of Russell's suicide.
Taylor Armstrong went through some incredibly tough times as a housewife on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Due to her rocky marriage with her husband, Russell, just as she was ready to divorce him, the devastating news of his suicide came out. The following season, the cameras captured Taylor trying to navigate life as a single mother and a widow, while also dealing with Russell's numerous lawsuits. Taylor's financial struggles were intense. One of her creditors even suggested taking her wedding rings as payment. This was heart-wrenching for Taylor, as those rings symbolized one of the most romantic gestures from her late husband. Fans felt her pain and cried with her as she grappled with the difficult decision to let go of such a meaningful token. When Teresa came home,
Can't wait to be home.
Oh my God, that voice, I don't miss that.
After spending just shy of a year in federal prison for fraud, Teresa Giudice finally came home. Her reunion with her family was filmed for season 7 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. As an OG of the cast, this was a major storyline. As soon as she walked inside after petting her dog in the garage, Teresa began to sob. "Girls, I'm home," she yelled, while little screams and running feet could be heard in response. Everyone cried. They stayed locked in a tight embrace for a long, long time. It was emotional, and we applaud Teresa's girls for their strength at such young ages. The Giudice's pain over losing Nana.
Working on my project in school, and I look at the side and I see her. I can see her.
If fans thought Teresa going to jail was emotional, it got worse when her mother, Nana, passed away soon after Teresa was released. Her family fell apart, especially her dad, No-No, who moved into Teresa's home. The Giudice kids began looking after No-No, and the cameras captured them crying together over the months that followed. Those times were some of the saddest episodes with Teresa, but they were also some of the most heartfelt. When Kyle knew Kim wasn't sober at a party and held back tears.
Really wanted to just speak to my sister without everybody else around, but
On Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kim Richards was upfront about her battle with sobriety at the end of season 1 and the start of season 2. Her sister, Kyle, tried everything she could to help Kim get healthier. At an event where Kim was supposedly sober, Kyle immediately knew she was under the influence. Holding back tears, all Kyle could tell her sister was how beautiful she looked. It was one of Kim and Kyle's most soul-stirring sister moments, showing both of their pain. Kenya comforted Sheree during a dark moment.
Like within days, so it's kind of weird to have them here at the same time.
In a gut-wrenching episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta, Sheree, her ex-husband Bob, Kenya, and Phaedra were all in a car on a trip. When the topic of abuse came up, Bob asked Sheree if he had ever put his hands on her because he forgot. With a brave face, Sheree admitted that he had. Shockingly, Bob joked that he should have done it more. At that moment, Kenya, despite not being on great terms with Sheree, jumped into protective mode and hugged her from the backseat. The power of unity between women was exactly what that moment needed. Camille's marriage meltdown.
God, Camille. Look at my arm. I have goosebumps.
We're gonna get her in the...
Remember Camille Grammer from the first season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was the queen of drama and the undisputed villain. But oh man, did our hearts break for her when her marriage fell apart. She found out her husband was leaving her, but still had to put on a brave face at the Tony Awards, acting like everything was fine. Camille was trying so hard to save her marriage at the last minute, but it was a lost cause. We all switched to hashtag Team Camille after that episode. Gia's emotional song at Melania's party.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about some...
Now, over in Real Housewives of New Jersey, there's an episode I will never forget. Melanie and Giudice had a birthday pizza party, and her older sister, Gia, decided to sing a song she wrote. Cute, right? Except the lyrics were all about their family fighting. The Giudice or Gorga feud was raging at the time, and it was clear Gia was hurting. I just wanted to give her a hug. That song was one of the saddest things I have ever heard on reality TV. Meghan and Jim's heartbreaking news.
Conversation continues with Meghan King Edmonds and Julie Klausner.
Then there was Meghan Edmonds from Real Housewives of Orange County. She was so excited to be pregnant with twins, but during an ultrasound, she and her husband Jim found out one of the embryos didn't survive. Seeing Meghan and the usually stoic Jim break down in tears was so tough to watch. You could feel their heartbreak through the screen. Lynn's family eviction, and who could forget Lynn Curtin from the OC?
Is this for real? Am I dreaming? Because I'm so
She was constantly dealing with her rebellious teenage daughters and never seemed to catch a break. Things hit rock bottom when her family got served with an eviction notice on camera. It was brutal to see them so vulnerable, and you couldn't help but feel for them. Talking about these moments brings back all the feels. These women really did put the real in Real Housewives, sharing some of their most painful experiences with the world. If you're planning to watch these episodes, make sure you've got a box of tissues handy. Trust me, you will need it. And hey, while these moments are sad, there's always a silver lining. Camille moved on and found happiness. Gia grew up to be a strong young woman. Meghan eventually had her miracle baby, and Lynn, well, Lynn kept on being Lynn. That's the beauty of Real Housewives. No matter how dramatic or heartbreaking things get, these women always find a way to keep going. So here's to the tears, the drama, and the resilience of our favorite housewives. So what did you think? Did this video remind you why you love to watch these women experience life? There's more of this content to come on this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications For more amazing Real Housewives content,